got it.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I am Grace, and this is my colleague Michelle, and we are going to share with you a short webinar on the principles of homeopathy, how it works, how homeopathic medicines are made, differences between homeopathy and allopathy, which is conventional medicine, and how to treat acute illnesses at home using a first aid kit. So, how did I come across homeopathy? Well, often people say that life changes at 40. Well, just before I was 40 years old, I was working as a nurse and wasn't well, had health problems. And you know the saying that, you spend a good amount of your early adult life climbing up a ladder. And then you get to the top of the ladder and you realize that your ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. So you kind of climb down again and move your ladder against another wall. And this is what happened to me. So I was unwell with sinusitis and hay fever. I was having all these antibiotics and stuff for hay fever, and had a baby. And one day I was flicking through the NCT magazine and I saw this little article about homeopathy by a local homeopath who lived close to me in Dulwich. And I was just so desperate. It was like, I'll try anything. I don't care what it is, so long as it works. And I went to see this lady who is now a good friend. And she gave me a small amount of this tiny little pills. I knew nothing about homeopathic medicine. It was all completely new to me. But, when you're desperate. So I took these pills and it was like magic. They worked. So the sinusitis cleared, and then the hay fever cleared in the next season. So it took me a few months to, work with the hay fever, but I was hooked.
Yeah, homeopathy does that.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, I need to learn more about this. And before I knew it, I enrolled at college and I did this course and ended up giving up the nursing profession and set up my own practice. And this is nearly 28 years ago now. And I haven't looked back.
Wow. Nice. That's a nice story, Grace. Yeah, mine is a bit, how was it? I was actually born into a family of doctors, really, 2 generations of doctors before me. And it was all I thought was possible was, usual mainstream conventional medicine. Until I had children, and then they were getting constantly ill, and the antibiotics and the vaccines and the Calpol weren't doing it. And I thought, this can't be right. And by chance, I met someone, a friend who said she was doing a course in homeopathy. I said, what is that? That sounds really weird. How can it possibly work? So I was a bit skeptical at the beginning. And to cut a long story short, I thought, well, why not try it? And I did. And like you, I was hooked. I thought, wow, this is extraordinary how one tiny little pill can have such an effect. And then I got interested in it, organized a course. I was in Lebanon. I'm from Lebanon, and organized a course, for people to come and give a course in homeopathy in Lebanon and all that stuff. So, and it's been, my background is in teaching, counseling, and homeopathy. Really, I sort of do the the 3 things. But I don't know what I'd do without homeopathy, really. I mean, I'm so lucky, to have found it. So that's my little story.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. And the stories that I hear from people, I've been in full-time practice for many years. I've cut down now because I'm a bit older. And I still hear stories, similar to yours and mine of people whose health was below par, and they discovered homeopathic medicine, and it changed their lives. And I don't know about you, Michelle, but the majority of my clients comes through word of mouth.
Yes.
I don't advertise, to be honest. I have a website, and my website is, if anyone wants to look it up, needs updating. It's healingwithgrace.co.uk. And if you have a website as well,
I don't. I actually don't have a website, so it's
I get so few inquiries through the website. It's mostly word of mouth, and I think that says something, doesn't it?
Of course.
Yeah. So, what is homeopathy? For me, it's primary medicine, and I'll explain. Some people call it complementary or alternative, and it can be that. And alongside, for me, homeopathic medicine is primary medicine, basically because we can help people with pretty much anything that they have going on health-wise, except from acute medical care, where, if someone's got a broken hip or internal bleeding, for example, they need to go to acute care. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
And we obviously can't bring two bones together. It can cause bone growth, but it can't actually bring the two together.
Yeah, of course. Once the bones are realigned and stable, then there are homeopathic remedies that can help to speed up the healing. But there's no doubt that we need an orthopedic surgeon. Okay, likewise with internal bleeding. But apart, leaving aside those emergencies, homeopathic medicine can help pretty much with everything else. So for me, I consider it to be primary medicine. We use natural substances. All our medicines are made from natural substances, plants, minerals, animals, and some specialized substances as well. And the principles of homeopathic medicine have not changed since the 1780s. And we'll look at that in a little bit more detail in a minute. But, just think for a moment, solid foundational principles that guide a form of medicine that have not changed for over 200 years, almost 250 years. That says something as well. Now, you may know this, but I will just mention it because it's not available on their website anymore. So in 2010, the World Health Organization posted the results of a survey, a worldwide survey, and they looked at the 3 most common forms of medicine. Now, some people might think it is conventional medicine, but I'm going to surprise you. So the most common form of medicine used around the world is acupuncture, Chinese medicine. The second one is homeopathy. And the third is conventional medicine.
Yeah, surprising.
Yes. Very surprising, wasn't it? Yes, I was surprised too. Surprising too as well that in 2019, that information was removed from the World Health Organization website.
Well, maybe not so surprising. I don't know.
So there you go. And the thing is, we do have a choice. Yeah. People who choose to stay with conventional medicine and it works for them, that's fine. But there are other choices.
And it can be used, as you said, you can do both if you need to, if that they can work together. But also, like you said, Grace, it's been primary medicine for me is like I throughout all the medication I had at home many years ago, and never had any, for years now, for 25 years. So yes, it's been my first
exactly. The same with me. When I realized the healing power of homeopathic medicine, all the other drugs in my cupboard all went. In fact, I remember, so I had a baby at the time, so my son was brought up homeopathically, as well as the whole family. And when he went to university, we went to the surgery to transfer his medical notes to where he was going. And the receptionist got the medical notes out, and she looked at them and she said, "Oh, there's nothing written in this."
Yes.
So, so homeopathy is really very safe. It can be used for elderly, adults, children, babies, and also during labor and delivery, and during pregnancy. Mm-hmm. So, and you can do it, a lot of it, you can do it at home with some knowledge. Yeah. So I don't know about you, Michelle, but I do run 2-day courses to empower people. This is about empowering, really. Yeah. To empower people with knowledge and confidence and competence. Yeah. To use homeopathic medicines at home. So you don't need to go to the doctor. So the kits are sold by homeopathic pharmacies in the UK. Helios and Ainsworth are the ones, the pharmacies are the ones I know in the UK that sell kits. I'm sure whatever part of the world you're in, you will probably find different kinds of kits. So this is the 36 homeopathic kits sold by Helios Pharmacy. It comes with a booklet that is really quite helpful to help you to choose the right homeopathic medicines, and 36 remedies in the kit. And it's transportable. People take it on holidays and go in aeroplanes. This is one of my favorites. This is a traveling kit. Specific for traveling, especially when you go to, different parts of the world where there are different health challenges. Again, it comes with a booklet and 36 remedies as well. And I'll tell you a story about this because it was really life-saving. My husband and I were traveling in Brazil a few years ago with a group of friends. There were like 10 of us. And we were visiting different towns and went to the beach. And one day my husband became quite ill. And I couldn't fathom what was the problem. But our Brazilian friends knew straight away. And they said, "We think he's got dengue fever. We need to take him to the hospital." And we were due to leave the following day to go to another place. And it was like, oh, let me have a look at my kit. I immediately thought about the kit. And lo and behold, there is a remedy in here, which is good for dengue fever. It's a remedy that is also very good for a particular form of flu. And we will talk about this in a minute, because homeopathic remedies are good for a variety of conditions. Indeed. And we'll explain how it works. So I came here to this kit. I got out Eupatorium perfoliatum and started giving it to him quite frequently. I think I was giving it to him every 15 minutes. And after the 3rd dose, he said, "I think I'm feeling better." And to cut a long story short, we did travel the following day because he was so much better. Brilliant. That he was able to travel. And all of my friends were just amazed. And in fact, I ended up treating one of them before I came back to the UK because he had a health problem. And he was just so impressed. There is another kit that is really useful. And this kit is used so often in my practice. This is for labor and delivery. And again, it comes with a booklet and 18 homeopathic remedies. And these are specific to help women who are in labor and delivery and post-delivery as well. And, you know, I have 3 of these kits, which I rent out to clients. So what I do, I meet with the client and the birth attendant, and I have an extra handout, and we go through the kit and I teach them how to use the kit, especially the birth attendant. And then they use the kit and they bring it back. And good. I clean it up and replenish it. And the feedback I receive on this kit is just amazing.
Yeah. I think you'll agree with this. Our role is very much not just therapeutic, but really educational, isn't it? About helping people and really helping people help themselves and empowering them, as you said, Grace. So we need to say how this works then. So
yeah. I couldn't agree more with you. It's one of my main aims is to empower people, educate them, allow, encouraging them to be competent in using this form of medicine in the home. Yeah, obviously, more complicated issues, you need to see a qualified homeopath.
Yeah, but also asking, and I often ask people, who is responsible for your health? Who is responsible,
Absolutely.
And,
yeah.
And yes, people need to, sometimes they have to think about it, and then, well, yeah, in the end, I am responsible. I'm responsible also for finding what will help me and make me better and my family and those around me.
Indeed. Yeah. And with the situation as we have nowadays, I asked the question, whether we've given too much power to the medical profession. And that has eroded our confidence and our competence compared with our grandparents and great-grandparents, and the way that they used natural medicine.
So how is homeopathy different then? If we wanted to tell people, how is it different? What's the difference? I mean, I can think of a few things. Well, first of all, it's much more eco-friendly in the sense that we don't need much. Just a tiny quantity will produce almost ad infinitum, like loads of remedies. So it's wonderful. It's safe, as you said, for the elderly, for everyone, really, for children, babies, but also for pets and plants. It works on plants. There are studies that show that it actually works on plants. So this theory of placebo, we're often, criticized and say, this is all placebo. It's not placebo. There's always a placebo effect in any kind of therapeutic intervention, but that's only a small part of it. And that, of course, is not true in the case of homeopathy. What other things? And of course, it works on different principles. Whereas in mainstream, in conventional medicine, you want to shut down the symptom, you want to stop it, suppress it. That's not what we do in homeopathy, is it, Grace? So I don't know if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, the differences between homeopathy and conventional medicine are worth highlighting. So, people can make choices. And like you said, homeopathy is much more eco-friendly. I would add to that we don't harm animals in the research. Yeah. For me, that's very important. Absolutely. The research subjects used in homeopathy are human beings. So we do research. There's a tremendous amount of research. In fact, that is important highlighting too, the Homeopathy Research Institute in the UK, and the amount of research is going on around the world in India and Germany and other places. Because often, one of the arguments against homeopathy is that it doesn't work. There is no research. Yeah. In fact, we know there's a tremendous amount of research.
Lots of research, yeah.
And I mean, the greatest amount of research is our case studies that go back more than 200 years. There must be millions and millions of case studies that we can show how a homeopathic remedy made a difference to someone's health. So that is another difference. The other one for me is, like you said, homeopathy works with the body. It works by helping, assisting our innate ability to heal. We know that we do have an innate ability to heal our body. You know, if you cut yourself and you leave the cut for a few days, eventually it will heal. You know, you don't need to do anything to it. Likewise, if you have a cold, you know, you go to bed, you rest, you drink lots, and eventually the cold will resolve itself. So homeopathic medicine works with the body. It works by assisting the body's innate ability to heal itself. So it's like, you know, the body gets a little bit stuck and it needs a little bit of help. So I use the analogy of an engine key. You know, the engine is running, but then it slows down or it stops. And the homeopathic remedy goes there in the body like an engine key. It turns the engine on and then it gets running again.
Yeah, and I think it helps you get through the process more quickly and more smoothly, doesn't it? I mean, you still go through, if it's an acute or a peak, and then it goes down again. But that time is much shorter and much more comfortable for the person, for the patient.
Exactly, that's right. Whereas conventional medicine tends to work against, you know, antibiotics, antipyretics. You know, the one that gets me is that they use a drug to stop you when you have diarrhea.
Yeah.
You know, for me, if someone has diarrhea, it's because there's probably some pathogenic a bug in the body, you know, either from food poisoning or something else, you know, cholera, for example. And the body is doing the right thing. You know, the body is pushing it out by, you know, creating diarrhea. And in conventional medicine, they give you a drug, I think it's called Imodium, that stops the diarrhea.
Yeah.
To me, that doesn't make sense.
No.
The same with vomiting, you know, the other end, the vomiting, the same. So we work with the body to encourage the body to heal itself. The same with a fever. I mean, that one, and babies and children, that really gets me. I don't understand it, you know, to give paracetamol for a fever, because the fever is there to cook the bugs, to fry the bugs. You give paracetamol, the fever comes down, and then the bugs reappear again.
Because symptoms are considered as the enemy, aren't they? This is what rather than, you know, they're beneficial, you know, and essential, really helpful, you know, signs that tell us that we need to do something, that something isn't right.
Right. Yeah.
And so I
yes.
think,
yeah. So the other difference for me is that homeopathy is very safe. It's gentle and safe and effective. So it has no toxic effects. Whereas with conventional medicine, as you know, a lot of drugs do have side effects. In fact, I mean, do you know the 3 most common causes of death? The first one is cancer. The second one is coronary heart disease, vascular disease. And the third one is doctors.
Iatrogenic,
Iatrogenic disease that kills so many people.
Yeah. Thousands die every year in hospitals from treatment. It's not mistakes in treatment. It's actually where the protocol has been followed to the letter, the way it should be. And still, you know, so there's a lot to be said for, you know, for homeopathy, and because it is, in a way, the medicine for the future, isn't it? In so many ways, it's what we need now.
That's right. Yeah.
In these days where we're living.
So we'll just go back a little to Dr. Samuel Hahnemann.
Yes, who was he and what did he do?
Tell us.
Tell us. Well, this thing of, obviously, I mean, homeopathy is based on the principle of, well, the law of similars, or like cures like. And this was not unknown before Hahnemann's time. This was actually in Greek time, Hippocrates was a father of medicine, talked about it. There's the law of contraries, opposites, and the law of similars. And later on in Europe, Paracelsus, who's considered the father of chemistry, and who also was aware of that. But it was Samuel Hahnemann, who was born in, what was it, 1750, 55, I think. in Germany, who was a physician, a chemist, a researcher, a linguist, etc., and who became disillusioned with medicine and decided to just drop it and go on translating texts, scientific texts and stuff like that. And very briefly, he came across some paper written by Dr. Cullen in Scotland, who was talking about the effect of Peruvian bark or quinine on malaria, and saying that it cured malaria because it had a bitter taste, because of its bitterness, which to Hahnemann didn't make much sense. So he got this idea to, well, let's see what happens if I start taking Peruvian bark, what we call China in homeopathy. And lo and behold, he started to develop weird symptoms that were very similar to malaria symptoms. And he knew originally he didn't have malaria. He was perfectly healthy. And when he would stop taking, so he was dosing, regularly, and then when he would stop dosing, the symptoms would subside. So it was directly linked to what he was doing. And he thought, wow, this quinine is known to help to cure malaria, but if I don't have malaria and I take it, it causes the same symptoms. So a substance that can cause symptoms when given in large quantities in a patient, can cure those same symptoms in a diseased person. And that was kind of establishing the law of similars in homeopathy. What he did later is, okay, so how much do you give? Because he started experimenting, and it is said that everyone who walked through his door became had to do all this proving, what is called proving in homeopathy, this experimentation, this testing, and but Hahnemann observed that there would be side effects, because sometimes he would use substances that were toxic. And so to minimize that, he got the idea of diluting, and he started diluting. But then once you keep diluting, you get to a point where it's not so effective. So he got this idea of succussing, of shaking it. And he found that by diluting and succussing, he called this potentization, it made the remedy, the substance, more potent, more healing, more curative. And that was so basically saying that you need minimal dose, you don't need large doses, and the way they're prepared homeopathically makes them very, very potent. And so that's kind of summarizing it.
Yeah, it's such an important discovery, wasn't it? The law of the minimum dose and dilution, diluting a substance, which then enabled him. I mean, a lot of the remedies we have today were developed by Samuel Hahnemann and his colleagues at the time, both in the UK and in the United States. Actually, talking of the United States, I want to share something with you which you might find interesting. I find it interesting. So in the 1920s, there were over 100 colleges of homeopathy attached to hospitals, homeopathic hospitals. And homeopathy was incredibly popular in the United States, in the same way as in Europe. In Europe, homeopathy was very popular and actively supported by the royal families of Europe, as well as, many well-known people. So what happened in the States, all of a sudden, someone who was very influential, and you can find out his name from other sources, this person found his way into the boards of these hospitals and homeopathic colleges. And within a short period of time, most of them were closed down. And that coincided with the emergence of conventional medicine and pharmaceutical drugs.
The American Medical Association was formed.
That's right. Yeah,
definitely. I'm just looking at the time to make sure we're within the time.
We're fine. Yeah, we're fine. So that says something, doesn't it? So the law of similars is used and was used and still used to develop so many remedies, and we use the law of stimulus to prescribe medicines. So, for example, a remedy made from the onion, Allium cepa. What does onion do to us when we're chopping it? Quite often, I don't know about you, but it affects me badly. So if someone has a cold with streaming eyes, for example, we may well choose the remedy made from the onion, but it has been diluted and potentized. I'm actually going to show you in a minute how to prepare a homeopathic remedy, how to make it, just to give you an idea of how remedies are made. But there are so many examples, for example, coffee. Is another example that, if you drink a lot of coffee during the day, you may have difficulty dropping to sleep. So we have a homeopathic remedy, coffea, which will do the opposite and calm you down and help you to go to sleep.
It might be a good idea to cut down on the coffee too, if that's the cause.
Right.
Yeah.
The other one is a remedy made from a bee sting. So if you are unfortunate to experience a bee sting, you will know how painful it is. It will go swollen, red, hot. And we've got a homeopathic medicine made from the bee sting, and you will be amazed how quickly that pain, swelling, itching will go down if you've got the remedy at hand.
I just want to say something here very quickly, because there's usually this misconception. I've heard it many times. People say, yeah, but homeopathy takes long for it to actually to start, to have an effect. It takes time and all that. And it's not true. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen instant, like almost in a few seconds, things change, especially in an acute or
Absolutely. I'll share with you an example that just happened last night. So yeah, you're right, Michelle. In acute prescribing, if someone's had arthritis for 20 years, you're not going to get improvements in 5 minutes, right? But we're talking about acute prescribing. And for that, what is an acute? An acute is a condition that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it should resolve itself within 10 days to 2 weeks. So, we're talking about colds, fevers, flu, food poisoning, earaches, teething. There are so many conditions that we would call acute. So last night, a client of mine, and I treat her and the children, rang me from the hospital because her baby became unwell very, very quickly. So this is important. Became unwell very quickly. The day before, they had been out in the rain and it was quite windy. And the baby was also quite restless. And suddenly started having difficulties with breathing and coughing. And she panicked a little bit and called an ambulance. And the ambulance took 20 minutes to arrive. So she was in A&E, and then she had some time to think, I'll ring Grace and ask for help. So from that information that she gave me, I immediately thought of the remedy aconite, which is made from a plant. Aconite is very sudden. It usually, you become ill after being out in the rain or windy. And this is what she said to me. And aconite is also very restless, very agitated. And I asked her, did you give him any remedies earlier in the day? And she said, oh, I gave him some aconite. And how much did you give? And she said, oh, I gave him one. And then 2 hours later, I gave him another aconite. And what happened? Oh, he improved a little bit. So she was in A&E and she had her first aid kit. So I said to her, you're going to give him another aconite right now. And within a minute, we were on the phone doing this, right? Within a minute, she said, oh, he's just fallen asleep.
Yeah, good sign. Always a good, well, usually a good sign.
Always a good sign. Yes. So I said to her, fine, let's see how it goes. If he wakes up and he's restless again, you give him another aconite. And I went to bed. So this morning there was a message saying, within 10 minutes, they discharge him. We're back home and we are in bed. So this is how quickly homeopathic remedies work.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to share with you how we make a homeopathic remedy. Because anyone can make a homeopathic remedy. Actually, recently I have been collecting the early morning dew on a cotton wool bud, and I come home and I make a homeopathic remedy from that dew, and I leave you to guess what that might be about. So we make homeopathic remedies using either a decimal scale or a centesimal scale. On a decimal scale, you are going to dilute 1 drop of the medicine in 9 of alcohol or purified water, and that is 1 is a 10. Yeah, 1 in 9 is a 10. Here I'm going to show you the centesimal scale, and that is 1 drop in 99 of either alcohol or distilled water.
So 1%, basically.
Yeah, 1%. Yeah. And that makes 1C. That makes a potency 1C after we have diluted and we have succussed. And I'm going to show you what that entails. So here is my medicine. Okay, it's just a little bit of grape juice.
I thought it was wine for a minute.
So I have my bottles, 2, there's 1 more here on the side. And in those bottles, I have placed 99 drops of alcohol. Okay, so that is already prepared in there. And what I'm going to do then is my medicine, I'm going to take, got a pipette, and I am going to place 1 drop in the water or alcohol. Okay, and now I am going to potentize it. So potentize is vigorously shaking, or we use the term succussion in homeopathy. And this is what Dr. Samuel Hahnemann did and his colleagues. So they would succuss on a Bible, usually. I haven't got a Bible at hand, so I'm going to use a book. But basically, they shook vigorously for about 40 times. Okay, and that is called potentization or dynamization. So the molecular substance, the energetic molecular substance is mixed in the water, and the water memorizes it. Water or alcohol memorize it. We'll talk a little bit more about the memory of water, because we know that water has memory. I don't know if you have heard about Veda Austin.
Yes.
If you haven't, I would recommend that you find her on YouTube. Veda is V-E-D-A. Veda Austin is from New Zealand, and she's done a tremendous amount of work with water that shows very clearly that water has memory. I mean, Dr. Benvenisti in France did the same.
Masaru Emoto also.
Masaru Emoto, yeah, Dr. Nobel laureate Professor Luc Montagnier has talked about that. So I've just rinsed my pipette in some water. And now from this bottle here, this is we would call it a 1C, yeah, 1%. I'm going to take 1 drop from here. And now I have a second bottle. Okay. Sorry, before we do that, can you see how dilute that is? I'm not sure that if you can see the color, but it's like a pink color.
Lightly pink, yes.
Slightly pink.
Very slight, yeah.
So now I took a drop out of that. I have my second bottle.
Less pink.
I'm going to place.
It's not pink. That's not pink at all.
No, this is not pink. This is
Right.
bottle number 2.
Right. That's just the solution. I mean the alcohol.
Alcohol. Yeah. So this is bottle number 1.
Okay.
And this is bottle number 2. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Okay. You see the bottle number
Now
1
we can
is
see,
slightly pink.
yeah.
Okay. Bottle number 2 only has water, distilled water, but you can use alcohol. So from that first bottle, I took 1 drop and I'm putting 1 drop in bottle number 2. Okay. And I am going to succuss it as well. Put lid on. This is my bottle number 2. And I do the same thing 40 times. Okay. This has been potentized to a 2C.
So you started with 1C, now it's 2C.
1C, 2C. So I would have a 3rd bottle. Yeah. And from here, I take 1 drop out of this into bottle number 3 and do the same process. And that
would be 3C.
A 3C. That's right. So you keep doing that, 4C, 5C, 6C. So when we get to about 12C, there will be no material dose of that left. What we are left with is the potentized substance, which is now submolecular and energetic, and the water has memorized that.
Well, it seems, Grace, as that when you put a substance in water, it changes the molecular, the structure, the pattern of how the molecules are together in the water. It imprints the water in a special way and keeps it there. So it's very, very interesting process.
It is very interesting. And this is what puzzles people, you know, especially if you haven't heard about homeopathic medicine before. And suddenly you hear this and it's like, no, it can't work.
Can't
yeah. So the kits, these have been potentized to 30C. Okay, which means that this process has been done 30 times, diluted and shaken. Yeah. And yet we know that homeopathic medicines work.
Yep.
Even if you don't believe what I'm saying, you know, talk with people who have had homeopathic remedies and see what they say. So yeah, does it work? Well, yeah, there is a lot of evidence that it works, but obviously you need to match the symptoms that you have to the remedy. And what I'm about to say is probably the most important thing you will take away from this webinar. Honestly, believe me, and I'll repeat it. This is the most important bit of learning that you can take away with you. And that is that we do not treat illness. Like you go to the doctor, you know, you may have arthritis and constipation and headaches, and you come home with 3 different types of drugs. We don't do that. We'll give you 1 pill that will fit everything. So, for example, if you have a cold and you have a streaming eyes and a streaming nose, but mainly the nose, and you think, oh, the nose is streaming more than the eyes, and the nose is burning, and you're really restless and worried with that cold, and you keep asking for reassurance, and you go to the doctor and you go to the homeopath, and you then think, oh, I might as well just have some nutritional supplements, and you become so anxious about your health, and then you start coughing, and you think that you might have cancer. Yeah, there is a homeopathic remedy that will help you with that condition. And that homeopathic remedy will also help with other conditions where the person is in this mental state. So it could be food poisoning, for example. It was a remedy that was used extensively in 2020 and 2021.
Yes, at the beginning of the pandemic.
That's right. Is also a very good remedy for flu. With different symptoms, and the mental picture is this restlessness, worry that, you know, I may have something very serious, and I'm continuously asking for reassurance, and I'm very chilly, very cold. And that remedy is arsenicum, which is made from arsenic. And people will say, but arsenic is poisonous. Yes, but when it's diluted and potentized, it becomes a very important homeopathic remedy to help with that condition.
I have a little story, if I can add a little story about arsenicum. About duckweed. Duckweed is a plant apparently that's very sensitive to impurities in the water. So we had this Austrian team of scientists who conducted this experiment. I think it was about 10 years ago. And so what they did is they had this duckweed in several pots, and they laced them with a bit of arsenic, right? So, and then they experimented. So they had in some pots, they just put water, just plain water. They watered the plant. That was also, you know, that was sort of withering away, obviously, due to the arsenic. And the second batch, they gave succussed water, but just water, but succussed with nothing in it. And the third one, they gave arsenicum album in potentized. And they observed the difference that the two other batches were not doing well at all. But the one that had the arsenicum album was watered with arsenicum album. They measured the rate of growth and the size of the leaves, and all was increasing and improving. So this is, you can't talk about placebo, and it's there, it's been witnessed, observed. So, and the recommendation was, we actually need to investigate this further and do more research into homeopathy and how it works. So I thought that was an interesting thing.
Yeah, I mean, placebo, we need to push on to finish. And I mean, the placebo, we give homeopathic remedies to babies and animals.
Yeah.
And, you know, I cannot help other people's animals because I'm not a homeopathic vet, but I treat my own animals with homeopathic remedies. And it's just so amazing how it works so well. So yeah, the question of placebo, I think we need to leave it for another day. So, you know, earlier we mentioned aconite, which was very good for this cold that this baby had yesterday. And aconite is also very good for panic attacks. Severe fear. But what you need to see is that restlessness and things happen very quickly.
And thirst often, right?
And very thirsty, yeah. And quite often things happen around midnight. So it's also a good remedy for croup, aconite, panic attacks. So what I'm saying is that we don't treat, we don't give a homeopathic remedy for a particular illness. Yeah, homeopathic remedies can be used for a range of conditions because we take into account the whole person, and that includes their mental state, their emotional state. So we match the condition to a homeopathic remedy. So remedies can be used for a variety of conditions. Yeah. I mean, another one is chamomilla, which is very good for teething, helping in teething. And it has got a very particular picture. Yeah, usually a child will be very cranky, very angry, unreasonable. Nothing pleases them. And if a child or anyone has an earache and they are in that state, chamomilla will also help for both. So this is really, I'm going to repeat it and make no excuses. This is the most important thing that you will take away from this webinar, is that we do not give a remedy for a condition. So, you know, if you came to me and you said to me, is there anything I can take for toothache? I would say, well, yes, I'm sure there is, but I don't know. Okay. because I can't, it's not the same as giving you Panadol for the pain. I need to find out the characteristics of that toothache, when it started, how does it feel for you, and how do you feel in yourself with this headache, with this toothache. So we're just going to look at clams. We use this to enable us to work out what remedy is going to work for you. So can you see this, Michelle?
Yeah.
You can. Yeah. We call this clams. This is like being a detective. Okay. So you want to help someone in your family or a friend. And this is what you need to do in order to work out the correct remedy. So you need a pen and paper, and also distance yourself a little bit so you can observe this person, and you can also ask some questions. And then if you get this information, you will then be able to choose the most accurate homeopathic remedy. So C stands for causation. It's always so important to find out what has happened to you. What happened yesterday? What happened the day before? So this is what I did with this baby last night. The first questions that I asked the mum was, where have you been? What's been going on? And she said, well, we were out on Saturday. Remember, yesterday was Sunday. We were out on Saturday, and I asked, what was the weather like? Oh, not too bad. And what about the day before? And she said, oh, yes, we were out. It was rainy and it was quite windy. So I have the causation here. Okay. This is so helpful already. The causation could be an emotional upset. Yeah. Oh, someone was rude to me. Or a friend is quite ill, or someone in my family is very ill, and I'm feeling quite worried. Do you get it? Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. If you have the causation, it's almost like you're halfway there. You'll be able to choose the remedy. Location is important as well. Whereabouts is it? So, for example, a sore throat. People say, well, it's just a sore throat, And I say, look, tell me more about the sore throat. Where is it? Which side? A sore throat could be on the left side. It could be on the right side.
We do ask a lot of questions, don't we?
We do ask lots of questions, indeed. That's what I'm saying. You become a detective, okay? Associated symptoms are important. So what else is going on with that sore throat? Are you coughing? Do you have a headache? What else is going on? And then the modalities are important as well. What makes it better? What makes it worse? So with a sore throat, are you better swallowing or worse swallowing? And are you better swallowing liquids or solids? Swallowing solids makes it better. There is a remedy for that. And that is pressure. Okay. The remedy, the swallowing solids is putting pressure on the sore throat, and that helps. And there is a specific remedy for that if it goes along with the emotional side. And then the sensation. So what is the pain like? Describe the pain. Yeah.
Is it burning? Is it like knives? Is it like, if it's a sore throat?
Yeah, that's right. Or is it just sore? Yeah. So you need to understand the kind of pain, for example. So I'm going to give you an example. Someone has sprained their ankle, and that could be considered a causation. You go through all of that and you find out that this person is in pain, and yet they want to hold the ankle. They want to put pressure on it, or even lie on the painful side. That is pressure. Pressure makes it better. Likewise, swallowing solids would make the sore throat better. Yeah. And you are talking to them and asking questions, and then you realize that they are really quite irritable and they want to be left alone to rest. So after a while, they will say something like, oh, don't ask me so many questions. Please leave me alone. I just want to rest. Don't talk to me. Yeah, we would call that a bear with a sore head. Alongside the wanting to put pressure on the injury, it would probably take you to the remedy bryonia. So bryonia would be good for that sore throat. It would also be good for a sprain or a strain. And it's also a very good remedy for flu, for example. And you would take the physical symptoms and you need to look at how this person is behaving as well, mentally or emotionally. And bryonia is a bear with a sore head. Leave me alone.
They don't like movement. Sorry, they don't
like movement. Yeah, they want to. That's right. They want to be very still and they don't want to be interrupted. Just leave me alone. Give me a medicine. Leave me alone. That kind of thing. Okay. So yeah, you need to be a detective, definitely. Okay, so we're going to stop share that because we really need to come to an end. Yeah, you need to be a detective, sorry, and write everything down. And then giving a remedy for a very acute situation. You will find different homeopaths give remedies differently. It's okay. You know, we all work differently. We all have our own rationale for doing things. For very acute situations, I usually advise that people take a remedy, assess what the remedy is doing, and then repeat it again in 15 minutes. Especially if all you have available is the kit with the 30C potency. If you have homeopathic medicines in 200C, so what happens with the potency is the more we dilute, the more potent the homeopathic medicine becomes. So the stronger it becomes. Again, you need to get used to this, okay? But a 200C has been diluted and succussed, dynamized 200 times. That is going to be much stronger than a 30C. But majority of the time, all you have is a 30C, and that's fine. So all you need to do then is to repeat it every 15 minutes. So I say to people, repeat it after 15 minutes, and then repeat it again after another 15 minutes. And by then, you should see the homeopathic medicine working. Okay.
I just wanted to say some. Oh, sorry, Grace. I just wanted to say that we also, as far as the potency, we also match the potency to the vitality of the patient, right? So there's that as well.
That's right. Yeah, we do. And in this is why it's helpful to do a 2-day course with a homeopath, or look for a course online. You know, there are courses available online as well. You can learn. Here we're just giving you a brief introduction to homeopathic medicine, and hopefully get you interested and passionate. You know, you can see how passionate we are about homeopathic medicine, and we could go on and on talking about this.
Yes, but we're running out of time.
Sadly, we're coming to an end for today. There will be more. If you look, we are recording this for the PHA, the People's Health Alliance, and other homeopaths are producing different webinars. There is one on using homeopathic medicines for mental health, so look out for that as well. They are uploaded on either YouTube or Rumble channels for the PHA. I just want to say a bit about expiry dates. So homeopathic kits, homeopathic remedies do not have an expiry date, you know, because they are energetic. If you keep them in a box away from the sun and extreme cold, they don't expire. please don't throw away your kit, because on the back, the expiry date says it has expired. This is simply a requirement by the British Pharmacopoeia Society that you must have an expiry date. But homeopathic medicines do not expire. You know, I have homeopathic remedies in my practice that I've used for over 20 years, and I'm still using them. And there is another question often people ask, and that is about homeopathic kits going through X-ray machines at airports. Some people believe that it affects it. I've never found that. And I know of many other people who whose kit goes through the X-ray machine at the airport, and they find that the remedies still work.
I mean, I wrap them up in tin foil and just full, but I don't know whether it's really effective or not. But
Some people
in case, you know.
That's right. Yeah, some people wrap it in tin foil, and that's okay. You know, it's whatever works for you. So, any other questions? Maybe ask on the PHA or get in touch with us, and we'll do our best to answer that question. So for today, we are going to stop here. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. And I'm very grateful to my friend and colleague, Michelle, for joining me today.
Oh, I enjoyed talking to you, Grace. No, that was great. Thank you.
Until another time, goodbye for now.
Bye. Bye-bye. Right.